So this is part 4 of my 1000 day series, and on the last video we kinda got stuck here in this bunker that is just completely full of zombies, and yeah, let's see if we can get out of here alive. Enjoy! So at this point I thought I'd be almost done with the bunker, but I'm still finding zombies in new rooms. And to be honest, I'm not sure if I know how to get out of here. But after another 12 hours, we finally managed to get out. And I gotta tell you, even though it was a bit tiring to explore all of it, it's still a really nice addition to the map. I spent the rest of the day just clearing the road and fixing the van, and since we actually pulled an all-nighter, my character kinda got tired a little earlier than usual. I went back to the port the next day, and I actually had to craft the spears for the first time in over 100 days. And man, I've missed them. It's crazy how good they are just compared to any other weapon. I mean, just look at the speed of this thing. So at this point, I think I've cleared as much as I can of this place, and I don't think I'll open the containers because it's just a lot of work, and there are containers with only zombies inside, which is a big risk. So yeah, now we can just go back to base and actually start preparing to go back home. I just gotta make sure I don't die on the way back. And as I said in the last video, I want to take everything related to guns and car parts we found here back home with us. But to do that we need a truck. So I did a quick tour around the city trying to find one, but the best thing I found was this. Also, I managed to blow out one of the tires and break both side windows of the van. But nothing a quick stop at the repair shop won't fix it. But what really needs a repair is the truck, and that's what I did today. So I changed the windshield and the side windows, fixed the hood, got a battery for it that I had to take back to base and recharge, and now it's good to go. Not for long probably. Before it got dark I started to work on how we're gonna get out of the city with the truck, because it's not gonna fit through the main entrance. So I opened a hole in the back of this building and cut down some trees and the fence, and now we have a way out. On the next day I went out to get the trailer for the truck and start collecting all the car parts I have marked on the map. It's a bit tricky to drive the truck around all these wrecked cars, but so far we're still alive. So yeah, it really sucks to drive this truck. It took me the whole day to get like to 2 places, because I kept having to get out of the truck so I wouldn't die, and also dismantling cars so I could get through. I actually got a level in metalworking doing that, but that's all I did. Day 3 away was a bit better. I managed to get all the way to the base, and now the truck is almost at full capacity. So I think we can knock this out in a couple days. But it turns out that the trailer can carry way more than I thought. I just had to repair it. I also fixed the GT500 with 100 engine quality we found last episode, and went down to the little town we were at. It's kinda weird to see the streets with no bodies on it. After I looted the Scarfix shop, I refueled the truck and went to sleep at the military checkpoint. The next day we managed to get a lot done. I went to the last repair shop I had noted and the storage unit that got the trailer to full capacity. Found one more katana and then went back to the first base and left the trailer on the outside of the fence. So now we're gonna loot the guns. And speaking of that, some of you have been asking me about it, and yes, I will use guns eventually. Maybe even in this episode. But anyway, I went out to get that red trailer we found, and it turns out that the truck can't tow it because it's too heavy, I think. So change of plans. I'm gonna go get both those parts cars we've marked out. I stopped at the second base to get a few things including the katanas, and after I got both of them back to base 1, I realized that the truck is missing a tire. So that's probably the reason I couldn't get the trailer. We'll try that again tomorrow. And would you look at that? It drives way better with all the wheels on. Who would have thought? And you can actually pull the trailer now. So I figured I'll get the guns further away from base first and see if that'll get the trailer full. And I started with the ones across the bridge, which is not a huge amount, but actually took the whole day, just because of the zombies in the area. And since it was too late to go back, I decided to stay here and get a few spare engine parts in the meanwhile. On the next day, I got back on the road towards the huge military safe base at the hospital, because that place is just full of guns. It wasn't that hard to get there, and the zombies were not that bad. I basically spent the whole day here, and I haven't even loaded half of the tents. And just so I don't have to go back to base, I got a stretcher and placed it on the top of this container so I can sleep safely. The next day was just more of the same. I just gotta be careful so I don't get this exerted. And finally, on day 315, I looted all of the guns, plus a few floodlights I'll need, and now we're ready to go back home. But of course I managed to get stuck in the middle of the city with no propane left to these metal cars. So I had to go back to base on foot and come back tomorrow to try and unstuck the truck. And that's what I did. Now we have everything we need here. I actually took the rest of the day to fix both sports cars and get a few more items we had in the base. But finally, it's time to go home. Raven Creek was probably the best first experience I could have with that modded map. I feel like all of the builds and all of the stories the map tells is just so amazing. Like there's nothing in vanilla close to it. If you've never played Raven Creek, make sure to try, cause I don't know what you're gonna do with it once Build 42 drops, but it's a great map. You really should try it. But anyway, once I got home, I immediately went back to get the other truck with the guns. And then back again to get both sports cars. And for the first time in 100 days, I finally get to sleep in my own bed. I woke up the next morning and went straight to check the traps we placed before we left, and it does work. None of the rabbits were rotten, so now we have food for a little while. Before we go out again and explore some other city, I want to at least start a few projects on the base, and the first one is going to be the farming area. We're going to need crops to trap, and we can also weed it. And this actually gave me the opportunity to use the lawnmower, and it is so cool just to drive around with this thing. I had to go out looking for carrot seeds and actually found a few in Fellas Lake. The trip took a little longer than I thought it would, so after we got back home and sowed the seeds, it was already nighttime. I got up early the next day to do some fishing, and I don't think I've ever done this in PZ. I feel like I've always preferred trapping and farming because it takes a little more effort than just, stand by a lake and speed up time. But they're gonna change that in Build 42, so who knows. Today I cleared the area surrounding the lake, and all of the cutting down trees and mowing grass actually takes a lot of time. I placed a bunch of the floodlights we got at the hospital, and even though it's not the best at lighting the place, it looks really cool. I went out the next day to get a few fishing supplies we had marked down, and by the way, look at how many logs we got just from the lake area. I want to start to work on the road towards the main street, and for that I'm going to need more buckets. But I think I know just where to find them. So after a little fishing in the morning, I headed out to Rosewood, and just look at all the zombies we've been dragging every time we drive around here. Remember to always drive the speed limit. I got to the fire station with the car just begging for mercy. So after I got what we came for, I fixed her up a little bit. It doesn't even look like we've cleared the city. This is all because of migration and all the noise from the cars and helis. I got home and realized that what we need is actually asphalt mixture, and we don't have that. So I repaired the red truck, and tomorrow we are gonna have to go back to Raven Creek. After a little fishing, of course. But once that was done, I got in the truck and We had to get the trailer to go through the fence, but since I'm a great driver, it didn't really take that long. I was looking through the loot in this warehouse, and there's a bit of asphalt and other stuff, but I want to go back with a full trailer, so we're probably still gonna have to loot the city. After looking through all of the warehouses in the base, the truck was almost like half full, so we still had to go out and find more stuff. Since we're here, I also got some fishing gear and then headed out south to base 2. All of these items weigh a lot, so it takes a long time to pick them up and place them in the trailer, and as a consequence, you don't get much done in a day. But not on this next day. We did a lot today. I went up to these warehouses that honestly didn't have much in them, and then I remember about this place I have found in the last episode. Just look at how many items there are here. Once I was done, I went up to the McCoys and also didn't find anything there. Since the truck was pretty much full at this point, I went up to base 1 and noticed this other warehouse right in front of our base that I had marked down. And it actually had some of the things we needed. I got on the road early the next morning and one of the tires exploded. Now I need a jack, a lug wrench, a tire pump, and a tire while I'm in the middle of nowhere. The closest place to me was the gas station we stayed at when we got to Raven Creek, but I only found a pump there. So I had to go to the military checkpoint. And just outside of it, towards the tunnel, I found a jack in the trunk of a car and a lug wrench in another one that was actually a heavy duty van. So I also got a tire from it. It literally took me the whole day to drive this somewhat short distance. Leveled up fishing in the morning and then started working on the road. And man, I'm screwed. I used all of the asphalt we got, and even though I fixed some of the holes in the driveway, I barely made a dent on the dirt path. We're gonna have to loot a lot more to finish everything. Or just, switch materials. At least on some of the other roads. At night I realized that I haven't watered the crops since I planted them, so I did a little of that before going to bed. And of course, now that I've started watering the crops, it starts to rain. Well, less work for me, I guess. Today I started working on what's gonna be the armory. I'm basically gonna build another barn next to these two, and I can do that thanks to the building menu mod that adds new crafts that lets you build a lot of the walls, floors, furniture, basically a lot of the things that already exist in the game, but that you couldn't really craft. I finished the main structure of the barn, so the walls and ceiling, and finished the floor the next day. And I gotta tell you, it looks really cool. I decided to add this garage door to it since it's the place where all of our guns will be, and I'll probably add to the other ones as well. I'm not sure yet. I built a few of these military lockers, but I ran out of metal sheets to finish. I crafted a few light switches to place it in the barns, and this helps out a lot. After that, I started moving all of the guns to the lockers, and 520 of space still wasn't enough. And that was just for the guns. All of the ammo, magazines, weapon parts, all of that is still not in here. I was testing out different materials to build the other entrance of the sheds, and I think I'll go with concrete. It looks good and we have a lot of it. I organized all of the fishing gear we got from Raven Creek, and then started clearing the trees to build the roads. Got another 11 fishing, and then spent the whole day just building the road. I probably should have thought about this a bit more, but we're gonna make it work. Did the same thing again the next day. I used all of the concrete we had the next morning, and then spent the rest of the day just gathering all of the logs we cut down. After that, I mowed the grass around the road, and then started working on the car workshop. I basically had to spend the day moving all of the hay bales out of the barn, and I actually left them somewhere it won't bother me, because we might use it as decoration later. I didn't really do anything today. I was just looking for some stuff, and when I realized the day was over. But on the next one, I crafted all of the asphalt we found here, and then started the work on the workshop. I'm not sure how to remove this little bit of hay left on the ground. The only thing that worked was putting another floor on top of it. And now I need a bunch of metal shelves to store everything. And would you look at that? Our first carrots are almost ready to harvest. Today I built a little more of the main road, and I found this big metal shelf in the building menu mod that has almost double the capacity of the normal ones. But I don't have the materials to build all of them. I also fixed some of the walls on the barn that had cracks in them, and then got the trailer in here to start unloading it. And it turns out this is not even close to the storage space we need. All of these have only tires in them. Like, just the tires. We're gonna need to expand this room. But I also need to get more metal sheets. So I got everything out of the trailer and we'll go on a metal run. I harvested some of the carrots and I think this will last for quite a while. I also placed a generator in a freezer by the trapping site just to make things easier. The next morning I got all of our propane tanks and torches and also switched up the trucks because the red one has a better engine quality. But it still needed some repairs. So I did that and I also added armor to the windshield and doors. Then I went to the gas station to fill up the propane tanks and I decided to inspect the trailer just for the sake of it. And look at this. I'm so glad I saw this before leaving. I got one more level in fishing and then started repairing the trailer. Even with all of these car parts, I still had to go out looking for a brake. I have performance brakes here, but I'm not using that in the trailer. I ended up finding one in a record that was parked in one of the mansions, and now the trailer is as good as new. I harvested the remaining carrots, and now I have enough to trap for a long time. After that, I refilled the generators and realized that I don't have the metalworking 4 skill book. So I went up to Fellas Lake's bookstore to see if I could find it there, but nothing. At least I got the pickup truck we found a couple episodes ago. On the way back, there were a lot of zombies on the road, and I have no idea where they came from. They're still kind of far from the base, but they'll get to us eventually. But now finally, we're out on our metal run. And of course I'm gonna go to Raven Creek. There's no other place on the entire map with that many cars to dismantle. Once I got there, I started working immediately. And when I went inside to sleep, another generator explosion for the series. Thankfully, this time the generator was outside of the base. Well, actually, I don't think that's what it was. Just look at how far the fire spread. It could have been a bomber jet from the expanded heli event. They're really rare, but they do exist, so... But anyway, we got a job to do. I spent the whole day just dismantling vehicles and looting all of the metal. The fire was still burning down buildings the next day, but that didn't stop us. I got a level in metalworking, and after another day, we still have like half of the trailer to fill up. That's gonna be a lot of metal. So I did that for another couple of days and got one more level in metalworking. I actually completely ran out of propane, so I had to take care of them. Got up to level 9 the next day, and now I think we have enough metal. I just want to get a few more engine parts, so I took the rest of the day to do that. And now we can go back home. As soon as I got there, I went straight to the workshop just to build all of the shelves, but just after I finished building them, I had an idea. So I took some of them out and started sawing out the logs we got. I'm basically gonna build 3 separate storage areas for all 3 vehicle types. I don't know if it's gonna look great, but we'll see. I ended up running out of red paint, so we'll have to go look for that later. I placed some of the floor on, and tomorrow I think we can finish everything. With the materials we do have, of course. But it turns out that all of the wood we had wasn't enough, so I had to go chop down a few trees. I got up on the roof with a ladder and started testing different types of roofs. But I ran out of planks again. I don't feel like cutting down a bunch more trees right now, so I built the doors for the new rooms and for the barn entrance. Before the day was over, I wanted to make sure no generator explodes in this base. So I fixed all of the ones by the house, and that was it for the day. On the next one, I placed the back door of the barn, and I also got a mod that lets me remove all of the debris on the ground, so I did that as well. Then I wanted to place all of the shelves in the workshop so we can start cleaning this mess, and I actually leveled up to metalworking 10. Now only 3 crafting skills left. I spent the rest of the night just cutting down trees. And after I used all of the planks we got from those trees, I wanted to clean this place up. So I took the day to organize all of these items. Now there's just a few left outside. It just now hit me that we crossed the 1 year mark a couple days ago. And I know it's missing a few days on the counter, but that's because the game isn't all that realistic. Months in Zomboid don't have the exact same number of days as in real life. But still, quite a number. I don't know if we'll make it to 1000, but this has been awesome. I just want to thank everyone who's watching, and I really hope you guys enjoyed the series. I finally got everything out of the floor, and when I was unloading the truck, I had it crashed somewhere behind the house. I spent the next day just unloading the trucks, and I'm still not done. I did the same thing again the next day, and I don't have a place to store all of this metal. I guess this will do. But finally, all of the trailers are empty, so we can organize this a bit better. I actually used this jump starter for the first time. And now look at this. Much better. I got a few light switches to light up the garages, and then start working on the parking space for all of our vehicles. I'm not sure exactly on the layout of this parking lot, so I'm just gonna build and see how things go. Now we can add gravel to the material list. I tested a bunch of military cabinets and gun racks to see what they look like and like which is gonna look better, and everything here is so cool. Now it's officially New Year's Eve. 365 down, 635 to go. It's gonna take a while. All of this stuff on the ground is lagging my game a lot, so I took the day just to put them in containers we built. I'm thinking about starting this year with a little trip to Riverside, just so we can get all of the materials we need. So I stopped at the storage unit first, cause there might be some of the stuff we need here, and I ended up having to sleep in the truck today. The next day I went up to the warehouses and found a bunch of the things we need. Then I took engine parts from the cars in the parking lot. I went up to Riverside the next day and stopped by every place that could have what we're looking for, including the houses in the gated community. And that's it, we can go back home. I found this police car just outside of Riverside with 100% engine quality. We'll come back for it some other time. When I got home, I unloaded everything off of the trailer, and tomorrow we can start working again. The first thing I did was finish the west road that leads to the main one. I then used all of the asphalt we got, which wasn't much. On day 372, I actually leveled up to fishing 5, but I didn't record it. Then I went up to pour all of the gravel we got to build the parking lot, and it barely made a dent on it. We're gonna need a lot more gravel and a lot more asphalt mixture. Now the only thing left to do is finish the barn, so I went to the trapping site to chop down a few trees, but I actually had a lot of planks there already. So I got the main structure of the barn ready, and now I just need to figure out how to make the game recognize this new area as like a covered inside area. I moved the cars to the parking lot area and made some changes to one of the roads coming out of the barn. Then I spent the rest of the day just cutting down trees over at the trapping site. Now I'm pretty much done with the workshop. I got everything off of the floor, and if you want we can start working on the cars. I also painted some lines on the road just to break some of the concrete look. Now I'm gonna build the fence around the parking space, and I tried 2 different fences, but I think I'll stick to the wooden one. But I don't have any wood, so I gotta chop. And after I collected everything, I started to work on the fence. And I gotta tell you, it looks really cool. Of course I'm gonna do the entrance at some point, but for now we're gonna leave it at this. I think I'll even replace the other fence for the crops as well. One thing I still want to do in this episode is repair both sports cars and the pickup truck, so we're gonna do that. I want to start with the GT500 because she's my favorite. Just as I finished repairing the Mustang, a heli flew by and left an airdrop inside of the parking lot we just built. But look at how our Mustang turned out. Beautiful. Now I'm gonna repair the other sports car. I think there's something wrong with this car. It's just going away by itself. So I repaired the sports car, and it doesn't look great with all of this protection, but this is gonna be the car we use to attract the zombies when we clear towns, so the more hits you can take, the better. And the next one is gonna be the pickup truck. This one is in horrible conditions. I leveled up to Mechanics 8 while repairing the engine, and then read the next book before bed. I was done with the truck the next day, and this one was way easier than the other ones. I'm not sure if I'll add armor to it, cause it's not a vehicle we're gonna use that much. I don't know. Spend the rest of the day just organizing the workshop a little. And then I went out to get the last vehicle we're repairing this episode. Another ambulance. This right here is the best car in the game. It doesn't flip over, you can go through big hards, it has a lot of storage, it's just great. But this one's gonna need a lot of repair. I found this radio for the GT500 and now she's all green. On day 386, I finished repairing the van, and I don't know why, but the rear door immediately goes to 0 when I install a new one. But anyway, I went up to the gas station to fuel the van and the gas cans, and this is probably the most I've ever carried in PZ. Oh, actually there's one thing we need to do, which is add some armor to the van. And now she's looking, well, not really good, but definitely strong. And these are all of our vehicles so far. I'm not sure if I'm going to repair the red sports car. I mean, I like the looks, but I think I can find one with 100% engine quality. I decided I'm going to do what I said earlier about remodeling the farming fence. So I destroyed the old one and moved some of the stuff that was in the way. And then after using all of the materials I had, I realized I could make this fence look way better. But that means I need to cut down a lot more trees, so let's do that. I encountered a few zombies while I was at it, and I think that all of the helis with the migration and everything brought them here. Because this area behind the house was supposed to have 0 zombies. I leveled up to strength 9, which is really nice. But anyway, now we can start working on the fence. And after a little while, I think this is as nice as it's gonna be. Some other time I want to build a little shed on this booked area and just use the rest of the space to plant everything we need. Since we're here, I'm also gonna change the parking lot fence to match this new one. Now it's way better. I took the airdrop somewhere else and also cleaned up the place a little. I parked the trailers in here and they take too much space. So I'm just gonna build a separate parking area for them with a roundabout so I can turn them around easily. And even though we're gonna need a lot more concrete, this is gonna be way better down the road. Since there's not many days left to this episode, I wanna do things that won't take much time. Like building the little farming shed I talked about. And I'm gonna do it using logs. This really goes well in a base in the middle of the forest, but I think it's gonna look nice here. The only problem is that it takes a lot of logs to build each wall, and the way I'm building this, I'm gonna have to go get some more. If we keep up like this, I don't think this forest is gonna last very long. But now that we have all the materials, we can build this thing. I spent 2 whole days in this, and I probably should have tested it before. I used every single log we got and still didn't finish, because I would build something, not like how it looked, and then dismantle it. Right now it looks like this. I think I'll just cut down trees for the last 2 days and get as many as I can. This way we won't need to do that in the next episode. And this might have been a bit too much. I'm sure we will use it at some point though. And that's it. Another 100 days. This one went by really fast, but we still did a lot of work. Now we're almost at the halfway mark. I really appreciate everyone who's been watching the series. It gives me a lot of motivation to keep doing it. So thank you and see ya.